Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue in our series on Talmud Eser Sefirot. We are in Daf Hey of Talmud Eser Sefirot, which is Chelek Aleph, Perek Aleph, Ot Nun, in the Or Pnimi, paragraph number 2. V'tam hachiyuv shel dalat hamadragot hu ki haratzon lekabel hanizkor la'ayil hine hu niklal tikaf im hitpashtut ha'or mihashoresh. We're going to learn today, and we already started learning about it last week, that there are 4 phases of desire in the Ne'etzal, in the emanated being. The emanated being is the vessel which receives the shefa, the abundance of light, from the emanator, what we call ma'atzil. So there's 2 things here. There's the ma'atzil, the emanator, and the ne'etzal, the emanated. The emanator gives shefa to the lower being called the ne'etzal, the emanated thing. The one above gives to the one below. That's why the letter mem, ma'atzil, comes before the letter nun in ne'etzal. They're spelled the same besides one difference in the letter. Instead of mem, it's the next letter in line, which is nun. So mem for ma'atzil is the emanator, the giver. Nun for ne'etzal, the emanated thing, which is the receiver. However, the ne'etzal, the receiver, the emanated thing, has within itself, by necessity, a desire to receive the shefa that the giver desires to bestow. Otherwise, there's no way for the ne'etzal to receive the shefa. The only way that you're able to receive something is if you have this space and desire to receive it. So that's the case here with the ne'etzal, the emanated being, which is a vessel for the light that the ma'atzil wants to give. The ma'atzil wants to give abundance, goodness. God wants to give us goodness. But we have to have a desire to receive what He wants to give in order for us to be able to receive. And it's a necessary feature. If you don't have the desire to receive, there is no way to receive. Because there is a rule in Kabbalah that there's no forcing, no coercion, no intruding. God is a gentleman. He doesn't force His way into your life. No. He waits by the door. You have to open the door and let Him in. He wants to, yes. He desires to enter. But do you desire Him to enter? Are you willing to empty yourself and make space for His presence within you? Or you're so full of yourself that there's no space for Hashem? Shaharei bazeh nivchen sheyatza ha'or mehama'atzil. Now this desire to receive, which we explained, that exists by necessity in the emanated being, is split into 4 levels, 4 phases. Bechinat Aleph, Bechinat Bet, Bechinat Gimel, and Bechinat Dalet. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4. Which, just for those of you who are a little bit familiar with Kabbalah, corresponds to Chochmah, Bina, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut. Those are the 4 phases. Keter is Bechinat Shel Shoresh. It's the phase where there is 0 desire to receive, which is included in the ma'atzil. Keter, Bechinat Shoresh, has no desire to receive, rather it has a desire to give. And that's the ma'atzil. The ma'atzil is the giver, while the ne'etzal is the receiver. But from which phase does the ne'etzal truly begin? Bechinat Aleph. Bechinat Aleph represents the expansion of the light from the giver in order to reach the emanated thing. The light that hitpashtut mihashoresh, it spreads from the shoresh, and within this hitpashtut, within this expansion of the light from the shoresh, there is already a ratzon lekabel that is incorporated immediately with the spreading of this light from the shoresh. The giver has zero desire to receive. That's bechinat shel shoresh. But bechinat aleph, which is hitpashtut of the or, the expansion of the light from the source, has a desire to receive. And that's why it's considered that this light has left or exited from the category of ma'atzil, and it has acquired its own name, meaning expansion from the ma'atzil. And so long as this netzal has not acquired desire to receive, certainly it's still in the category of the ma'atzil, the emanator. If there's no desire to receive that is revealed, then we're still dealing with the ma'atzil, not the netzal. The netzal begins from bechinat aleph, which is when the desire to receive begins to reveal itself. ולא בחינת התפשטות הניתקת ויצאת מהמעשיל. And it is not regarded as the expansion that comes from the matzil. Let me ask you a question. Is there a difference between the sun and the sunlight? The answer is yes. I'll help you. The sun is the one that emanates that ray of light, that illumination. It comes from the sun, and it is not equal to the sun. It's very important to recognize this difference. The sun generates, quite literally, light through nuclear fusion and other processes. It generates heat. It generates energy, which then gets given off in the form of a ray of light. What's the difference between the ray of light, which expands or spreads from the sun, and the sun, which is the source of that ray? I already just defined the difference. One of them has the desire to emanate, to give, to expand, to spread. That's the sun. It has that desire to give, while the ray itself has the desire to receive its own sustenance from the sun. Again, this might be very philosophical, but just to understand that the difference between the sun and the rays of the sun is that the sun generates the rays. It desires to illuminate the world, which is why it shines in that way. It gives off rays of light. Whereas the actual rays themselves have the desire to receive their own existence, their own illumination, their own light, existence from the sun. Because so long as this ray is connected to the source, it still exists. But if it, God forbid, becomes disconnected from the sun, it no longer exists. So what do you think the ray wants? To exist or not to exist? It wants to exist. And for that reason, it desires to receive its own shefa, which keeps it in existence, from the Matzil. Otherwise, it would not be able to actually exist in that way, in that restricted manner, where it's a ray rather than just being the sun itself. The only way it can be defined as an emanation, an expansion, a spreading from the sun itself, which is the emanator, the Matzil, is when there's something different about it than the Matzil. Otherwise, it would be conceptually in the same category, Matzil. But it's not. Matzil is giver, Netzal is receiver. Different conceptual categories. Ki beruchani lo yitzuyar shum havdil zulat al yedei shinui tzura. Because in spirituality, there's no such thing as separation except through difference in form. Shinui tzura. Change in form. In other words, the light separates from the emanator in the form of an expansion from the source. What's the difference? Well, we know that there's a difference. Shinui tzura. There has to be a difference in form in order for this change, this separation, to actually occur. Where the light leaves, emerges from the source. כי ברוחני לא יצויר שום הבדיל, זולת על ידי שינוי צורה. אמנם כל כמה שאין גילוי לרצון הזה מכוח הנאצל גופיה, אינו עדיין קבוע בנאצל. However, there's a very important concept here. So long as this desire to receive does not come from the koach of the netzal itself, from the power of the emanated being itself, it is not yet permanent within the netzal. It's not a desire that is fixed or permanent within the emanated being. כלומר שהנאצל צריך להשתוקק לקבלת השפע, שאז נבחן לנגלה הרצון לקבל מכוח הנאצל גופיה. In order for the desire to receive to be considered as coming from the netzal itself, as opposed to from the ma'atzil, is whenever that it desires to receive this shefa in a permanent manner, meaning it comes from a deep sense of longing to receive that light. It's not just Bechinat Aleph. No, it has to be Bechinat Dalid. Bechinat Aleph is just a little bit of desire. Bechinat Bet is a little bit more. Bechinat Gimel more. But Bechinat Dalid is Hishtokekut, yearning to receive or actualize that light. Mikoach hane'etzal gufia, from the power of the emanated being itself. Not Bechinat Aleph, not Bechinat Bet, but Bechinat Dalid. We're talking here about Hishtokekut, yearning, which is coming from the Ne'etzal itself. Remember, there is no desire to receive in the Ma'atzil. It only begins to emerge from Bechinat Aleph, which is the first Madrega or Bechina of the Ne'etzal. HaNe'etzal tzarich lehishtokek lekablat hashefa. The emanated being has to yearn to receive the sustenance. She'az nivchen lenigle haratzon lekabel mikoach ne'etzal gufia. And only then is it considered that it's revealed its desire to receive from its own self. והנה ההשתוקקות הזו אי אפשר שתהיה אלא רק בעת שאין בו השפע. The only way that the Ne'etzal can yearn in this manner is when it lacks that shefa. It's not possible for the Ne'etzal to yearn for the shefa except for when it lacks that shefa. Think about when you're praying or when you're hungry. When do you express big amount of desire? Is whenever you lack the fulfillment for that desire. When are you most hungry? When you lack food. When are you most hungry for love? When you lack love. You're hungry for connection, you lack connection. Whatever it is you desire is what you lack. Otherwise, you cannot desire it. There's no possible way for the Ne'etzal to receive light if it has light. If it has the light, then there's no desire. It's already fulfilled. It's not motivated to work for anything. It already has everything it needs. It's precisely whenever it lacks the shefa that it then yearns. Not just that it wants it or it's a motivation. No, it's a deep longing called Bechinat Dalid. כי רק אז יתכן שישתוקק אחריו באופן שתתגלה בו מכוחו. And only then is it considered that it is revealed from its own power. Whenever the Ne'etzal itself expresses this desire to receive. ואז נשלמים כלי הקבלה בקביעות. And at that moment, you have established the vessel of receiving within the Ne'etzal in a permanent manner. You have completed the Kli HaKabbalah. You've completed the vessel of Malchut. You've built the vessel of Malchut. In other words, the 4 phases are the 4 levels of building the Malchut. Phase number 1 is the light that this Malchut will eventually receive. But it starts out as just the light. The Malchut has not been constructed in any manner. It's Bechinat Shoresh, it has 0 desire to receive. We're referring to the Ma'atzil, the emanator. However, in exact proportion to the desire to give, there has to be a desire to receive what the giver wants to give. Therefore, the light expands from the source, Bechinat Aleph, and Bechinat Aleph represents the desire to receive what the emanator wants to give. It's the exact opposite of the source from which it comes. The source from which it comes wants to give. The source and the expansion of the light itself, Bechinat Aleph, is desire to receive. Then comes Bina. If you keep in mind that Bechinat Shoresh is Keter, Bechinat Aleph is Chochmah, Bechinat Bet is Bina. There's a greater amount of desire to receive in Bina than there is in Chochmah. Bechinat Bet is more Av, it's more coarse than Chochmah. Then we come to Zeir Anpin. Even more desire to receive. It's lower because it's more coarse. The greater the Aviyut, the lower it is considered to be in importance. And then we have Malchut, which is Bechinat Dalid. You're constructing a Bechinat Dalid. These are the 4 phases of actualizing a potential, acting on a thought, manifesting something that exists in the realm of possibilities. Malchut represents manifestation. It represents the vessel. While Chochmah, Bina, and Zeir Anpin, phase 1, 2, and 3, is the light that needs to fulfill Bechinat Dalid. In fact, Bechinat Shoresh is included in that. So Bechinat Shoresh, Aleph, Bet, and Gimel are all the lights that the Bechinat Dalid needs to reveal. How does it reveal it? By receiving it. Whatever is received by the vessel is what has been revealed by the vessel. But it can only really fulfill this function once it has been constructed completely. Bechinat Dalit. The Malchut has to be complete in a way that it is permanent. Hishtokekut, yearning. It comes from the koach of the Netzal itself, from the body, from the guf of the emanated thing itself. It emerges from its own essence, not coming from above. Comes from below. It's an arousal from below, which then allows the revelation of what was previously concealed within the vessel, within the person's mind. So this is obviously very deep. If it wasn't clear enough, then you can blame me. I'm the one who was giving it over. But keep in mind that whatever we don't understand, we just have to study harder, we have to try harder. We have to repeat the video, take the notes, if you want to. If you don't want to, then you don't have to. But if you want to, then you have to. Because that's the only way to actually get the answer. When you put in the effort, God will meet you halfway and help you. But if you don't put in the effort, then there is no potential for any growth to take place. Because you have zero desire. You cannot learn this wisdom if you don't have the desire to learn this wisdom. I say this every single video. Impossible to learn this wisdom if you do not have the desire to learn this wisdom. And the desire is not enough. You have to have the willpower to actually put in the effort that is necessary in order to eventually become successful in this. If you just want it, yeah, there are many things I want. But am I willing to work for it? Am I patient? Do I want it badly enough? You might say you want it, but how much do you want it? Not much. Maybe Bechinat Aleph. Bechinat Aleph, that's something. Start with that. And use that Bechinat Aleph of Ratzon, use that small amount of desire to uncover what you can, according to your capacity. But another person might say, I don't want it. I don't want to know it. I don't care. I don't even want to know what it is. You've never heard what it is? Yeah, but I don't even want to know what it is. Well, this is a person who is ignorant. This is a person who doesn't know what he doesn't know. I don't know what I don't know either. You don't know what you don't know either. But I know enough, or have seen enough, to know that this isn't one of those things that you want to push to the side. This is not one of those studies or efforts that you're going to put as a side job. No. If you want to know God, if you're serious about reaching your completion, fulfilling your potential, not just as a cool quote, yes, we have to fulfill our potential. No, you have to actually do it though. So how do you do it? It starts with the desire and the willpower that you're willing to exert in order to bring this reality to fruition. To bring shalom within yourself, peace and tranquility, completeness. To build your Bechinat Dalet, to build your vessel, in order that you don't have to come back in Gilgulim anymore, through reincarnation. Fulfill the job. Think of it as YOLO, even though it's not really YOLO. You don't only live once. You come back and you come back and you come back through reincarnation until you fulfill the job, according to your potential. The more you push it off, the more you avoid it, you're just delaying it and amplifying it. That's all you're really doing. So, confront it head on, according to your capacity, with whatever amount of desire and effort you're willing to exert, and have a happy life. Have a smile on your face. Spread it with others. Be inspired and go out to inspire others. Have enthusiasm. Care enough to actually sit down with someone and explain them something you learned from this lecture. Have that patience. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. If you did, share your comments in the comment section below. Questions or appreciations or concerns or insults, whatever it is you want to give. I don't really welcome the insults, but it is what it is. Put them in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everybody, thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't be afraid to share this video with your loved ones, as we know that we are trying to reach as many souls as we possibly can with the wisdom of the Torah, specifically its inner dimensions called Kabbalah, which is the mystical secrets that are contained within God's holy Torah. And I invite you to join me on this effort to spreading this wisdom to the four corners of the world so we can prepare for what we've all been waiting for, the final redemption, where Israel will be redeemed along with the righteous Gentiles.